I was at a family party. My sister handed me my niece's sweater and her juice box. "Just for 30 minutes?" she said. Then she left. It wasn't the first time. My sister has this habit. She treats me like I'm built-in childcare. Every family event, it's the same story. "Watch her kid for a bit," she says. Then she disappears for hours. Honestly, I'm getting fed up. But I love my niece, so I let it slide. This time felt different. I had plans. I needed to leave early. Work was calling in the morning, but there I was, keeping an eye on my niece. Time ticked away. 30 minutes turned into an hour. Still no sign of my sister. My niece needed lunch. She scraped her knee. I comforted her through a bounce house meltdown. All while my sister was MIA, I called her twice, texted once, no response. Then my mom came over. She told me my sister had left the park. She went off with friends to get more alcohol. That's when I snapped. Leaving the park isn't taking a phone call. It's leaving your kid behind. I was furious. My niece was tired and wanted to go home. I told my mom I was taking her with me. I texted my sister. "Took your daughter with me," I said. We headed back to my place, made mac and cheese, put on a movie. My niece was fine, but then my sister called. She was furious. "You had no right," she yelled. "You scared me," she said. I felt my anger boil. "Maybe don't dump your kid," I shot back, "and leave without a word." I didn't feel wrong. My mom sided with me mostly, but she said I made things worse. I should have stayed. But my niece needed home. Now my sister tells everyone I used her daughter to make a point. But did I really? I didn't feel it was unsafe. I felt like I was stuck babysitting without even being asked. And I took care of a tired kid when her mom just disappeared. Was I wrong for stepping in? After hanging up, I sat there, just trying to cool off. My niece was on the couch, giggling at some cartoon character, completely oblivious to the drama. And honestly, seeing her smile made me feel a bit better. But I knew this wasn't over. My sister was going to make this a thing. Sure enough, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from our cousin, the one whose birthday it was. She was caught in the middle, hearing both sides. She just wanted to know what really happened, why my sister was so upset. I gave her the short version. I didn't kidnap my niece. I just took her somewhere safe when her mom decided a booze run was more important. And then, of course, my sister started blowing up social media. A vague post about family betrayal, how you can't trust people you thought you could. I mean, seriously? I was just trying to do the right thing here. But you know how these things go. Everyone loves a bit of drama. By the end of the day, I had a few more texts from family members. Some were supportive, saying they understood why I did what I did. Others thought I overstepped. But no one seemed to be asking why my sister thought it was okay to leave her kid at a party without checking back in. I decided to give it a day or two, let things cool down. But I knew I needed to talk to my sister face to face. This was bigger than just one incident. It was a pattern and it had to stop. But confrontation isn't exactly my favorite thing. Still, I couldn't let this slide again. Meanwhile, my niece was having the time of her life at my place. We built a pillow fort and made popcorn. She fell asleep halfway through the second movie. Looking at her, I knew I did the right thing. But I also knew that dealing with my sister would be a whole different story. The next day, I woke up to a flurry of notifications on my phone. My sister had gone full blast with her side of the story on social media. I couldn't believe it. She was making me out to be some kind of villain who stole her child away. I knew I had to talk to her, but I needed to gather my thoughts first. So, I spent the morning with my niece. We had pancakes for breakfast, and she insisted on drowning hers in syrup. Her giggles were infectious, and for a moment, I forgot about the drama waiting for me. But I knew I had to face it. I couldn't keep avoiding my sister forever. Once I dropped my niece back at home, I texted my sister, "We need to talk, face to face. No more social media nonsense." She agreed, albeit reluctantly, and we decided to meet at a coffee shop nearby. When I arrived, she was already there, tapping her foot impatiently. I could feel the tension as soon as I sat down. She didn't waste any time. "Why did you just take her like that?" she snapped. I took a deep breath. "I didn't just take her. I was left with no choice. You left the park without telling me, and I had to get up early the next day. You can't keep doing this." She rolled her eyes, but I could see a flicker of realization. "I just needed a break, okay?" "We all do," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "But you've got to start being upfront about it. I'm happy to help, but you can't just assume I'll be there every time." She was quiet for a moment. Finally, she mumbled, "I guess I didn't think about it that way." Progress. It wasn't much, but it was something. We talked a bit more, and it felt like we were finally on the same page. I hoped this would be a turning point. By the time I left, I felt a bit lighter. Maybe things would change, maybe they wouldn't, but at least I'd stood my ground. I loved my niece and would always be there for her, but it had to be on terms that were fair for everyone. As I walked home, I couldn't help but feel optimistic. Maybe this was the start of a new chapter for my sister and me. I felt a weight lift as I left the coffee shop. Maybe, just maybe, my sister and I were finally starting to understand each other, but I knew better than to get my hopes up too high. Change doesn't happen overnight, and this was a pattern we had been stuck in for a while. Back at home, I checked my phone, half expecting another barrage of messages. But it was quiet. I took that silence as a good sign. Maybe my sister was finally reining it in on social media, or at least thinking about what I'd said. Either way, I was grateful for the pause. Later that afternoon, my mom called. She wanted to check in, see how the talk went. I told her it was okay, that we'd both said our pieces. She seemed relieved, but reminded me to keep an open mind. "Your sister's going through a lot," she said, "but I'm glad you spoke up. It's important." I knew she was right, but I couldn't help feeling a bit frustrated. It always seemed to come back to me having to be the responsible one, the one who has to keep the peace. But then again, maybe that's just the role I'd taken on, and maybe, just maybe, it was time for my sister to step up too. That evening, as I was winding down, a message pinged on my phone. It was my sister. Not another angry rant, but a simple, "Thanks for taking care of her." It wasn't an apology, but it was something. I replied, "Always. Just keep me in the loop next time." I spent the rest of the night thinking about everything, about how much I loved my niece and how I wanted to be there for her, but also about how important it was to set boundaries, not just for me, but for my sister too. We both needed to be better for her sake. The next family event was coming up. I knew it would be another test, but I felt more prepared this time. I was determined not to be blindsided again. I'd make it clear from the start, I'm happy to help, but I'm not a babysitting service. As I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder, will she ever really change? I couldn't shake that question as I drifted off to sleep. The morning brought a fresh sense of resolve. I had to find a way to balance being there for my niece while not letting my sister take advantage of my love for her daughter. Over the next few days, things stayed relatively calm. My sister didn't try to dump her daughter on me, and I didn't hear any new drama from her social media. It was like we were in a state of truce. I was cautiously optimistic. The upcoming family gathering was at our parents' house, a much more controlled environment. This time I decided to get ahead of things. I called my sister before the event. "Hey, I'm going to be there, but I can't stay too long, okay? So no surprise babysitting," I said, trying to keep it light. She laughed. "Don't worry, I've got it covered this time." I hoped she meant it. When I arrived at the party, I kept a close eye on the situation. True to her word, my sister was more attentive to her daughter, checking in with her, making sure she was fed and entertained. It was a small but significant change, and it made the whole event more enjoyable for everyone. I spent some time playing with my niece, enjoying the moments without the underlying tension. My mom noticed and gave me an encouraging nod as if to say, "See, it's working." I couldn't tell if it was a temporary fix or the start of something better, but I was willing to give it a chance. Towards the end of the party, my sister came up to me and said, "Thanks for talking to me. I didn't realize how much I was leaning on you." It was a rare moment of vulnerability for her, and I realized she was trying. I nodded. "I'm always here to help, just not without a heads up, all right?" She smiled, and for the first time, I felt like we were on equal footing. It was a small victory, but it felt huge. We both knew there would be bumps along the way, but at least we were starting to move forward together. As the evening wrapped up and I was leaving, I caught a glimpse of my niece, waving goodbye with a big grin on her face. It reminded me why all of this was worth it. For her, I'd keep working on this relationship with my sister, no matter how tough it got. Driving home, I felt lighter, as if we'd turned a corner. But the question still lingered in my mind. Would my sister really change for good, or was this just a fleeting moment of clarity? I guess only time would tell, but I was hopeful, and as I pulled into my driveway, I couldn't help but ask myself again, can we really keep this up?